my competency level was pretty low to start. What I've learned is that there's more tools on Zoom to use, and that the more comfortable that I became with that, the more I could start to introduce some things in the teaching process that were unavailable as a spectator. From a competency level myself, I could look at it and go, I have competence in language. I don't have competence, and I know that I'm short on Zoom. Okay. So it's an interesting parallel process to walk through, something that you're guiding the process in the language and the instruction, but at the same time, you're a student learning Zoom. Okay. So there's two forks in that road there.
I expected the relationship to be so different, but really it wasn't, because you still pick up on their facial expressions when you say something that they don't understand. And her daughter was there the first time, who really helped, introduce us. And I mean, so really it made it easy for me. That was really helpful. I feel a lot more comfortable. Zoom has that screen share, which is a wonderful tool, but I could never figure it out. So I was always trying, and then she wouldn't see what I was wanting her to see. And then I couldn't get back to seeing her. So I have grandchildren, so they're the source. So I would ask them to do a Zoom meeting with me, and I'd try to share something, and they'd tell me what I was doing wrong. So that really helped a lot. It's just always kind of scary, because you don't want to lose the screen and then they don't know what happened. So yeah, we had some exciting times.
Of course, I started in face-to-face, in-person type of tutoring, and didn't really go to the virtual until the pandemic hit, which kind of forced it. I had some hesitancy, of course, partially because of my age, a great deal because of my inexperience with technology. I think when I got started, I would have called myself a technology illiterate because I just didn't use it that much. So yes, there was some skepticism, lack of experience on my part, a lack of comfort. All of my years of teaching had been face-to-face, in person. But the pandemic forced it. Hey, if we wanted to continue, we had to find a way. The tutoring that I do, the support that I do, involves a lot of conversation. And so this worked very well. We could talk together. I devote quite a bit of every session to conversation. And that works so well on Zoom or FaceTime. You can see the face quite clearly. You can see the lips. And facial expressions, of course, are everything. And that was all right there. So I would say the first couple of months, although we had maybe some problems that we needed to work out, I would say they were relatively smooth. I can't remember a time thinking, oh, this isn't going to work, or this is just not good. I don't think that ever happened.
Well, the primary one was COVID, okay, when we couldn't get together face to face, or if you're going to be masked anyhow, by not having masks, they can read your lips, okay, and you're talking about language. So I think that was both useful in terms of the facial recognition and the lack of exposure health-wise getting together. And then as time has gone on, I've decided that from a health standpoint, it's probably better not to go face-to-face with people, to try to avoid that for my own safety. But I think that there's some other benefits that have popped up as well. One being when it snows, we don't have to worry about getting there. And the other being just transportation in general, that it's an instant thing. I come down to my basement, turn it on, I'm there. I don't have to drive 20 minutes one way, 20 minutes back. And the same for them. If they're dependent on maybe a single car for the family, they don't have to consume the car and take it away from the family. You can just hop online as well.
it's really effective. At first at being a teacher of a classroom, I thought this can't work. But yes, it does, because you do get the same feedback. And you have the advantage of not having to drive. And then when I was tutoring before, being in Wisconsin, sometimes the weather would be an issue where you'd have to cancel your session for driving, whereas with Zoom, you didn't have to do that either.
One tremendous advantage, and that is accessibility. These students are so busy. I have a student who is a mother. She runs a household. She is a full-time worker. For a while, she had 2 jobs. There were times she was working 60 hours a week. She was taking at least 3 classes every semester at the technical college, and she was working with 2 literacy tutors. And this allows her to pick up a child from school, run home, position herself in front of her equipment, and we go just like that. As a matter of fact, one time we started our session when she was sitting in her car waiting for her son to come out from his athletic practice. And so we started our conversation and talking. And then when he came out, we stopped, of course. We didn't do it while she was driving. But when she got home, she sat down at her computer or her phone, and we picked up again. So one student went to Chile, and we actually had a session with him in Chile. This winter, I will go south for a few weeks, and we can continue our sessions there as well. So accessibility is tremendous, I think, and that is certainly its I think greatest asset for us.
I would just jump in. Okay, there's the toolbar that, for instance, comes across the top of Zoom. I was sort of stuck with that the other day, and I realized that I could annotate and type in the words by creating a text box. But then I couldn't erase it, or I couldn't turn to the next page. So I stopped sharing and just started from scratch again. And I knew that that wasn't, that was a confused approach. Okay, so what I just continued to do was explore a little bit, and I found an eraser that I could eliminate the word. And then once I had the eraser, I was still stuck with having to go back. And then I looked a little bit more, and there's an arrow that looked like a cursor. And when I clicked on that, it allowed me to turn the page. And I didn't have to stop sharing screen, it could just flow. So managing how to learn myself was really a matter of exploring. And as a last resort, find a teenager and you're going to be okay.
Have grandchildren or meet someone or know someone young who's really adept at this, because that makes a difference. I guess the whole key is you just have to be flexible. It's technology, it's a machine. There's going to be issues sometimes, but any problem is solvable, you know. So I would just tell them, just go slow, and you know, if it doesn't work this time, it'll work next time. It's technology.
You need to be flexible. I will tell you, sometimes the connections are not the best. The students don't always have the best internet situation. Sometimes we lose each other and we have to call back, in a couple of cases I've called back, or the student has called me a couple of times during the session. There has to be some flexibility as far as family goes. They're in their homes, and that same comfortableness also leads sometimes to some interruptions. But that's been good also, because I think we've gotten to know each other. And although I was kind of worried at first about the lack of personalness in all of this, it really is personal. It really is, there really is a connection there. And so, but yes, you need to be flexible and work it out with the student, you know, enlist the students' input in all of this. How are we going to make this work? And how would it work better for you? And there are resources available. Go for it. Jump in, just try it.